Hello friends, in this video I'm going to explain how to pull information from ServiceNow directly and create reports in Microsoft Word in a visually appealing format. So to demonstrate that, I have created a sample problem ticket in a ServiceNow developer instance, as you can see on my screen. And you can request a developer instance by going to developer.servicenow.com. And when you create your account, you will get a URL for your free instance. And as you can see in this tab, this is my default ServiceNow instance, which is dev 33628. So this is the instance I'm going to use in my VBA macros to pull information from this instance and then create a report in Word format. So I have already created a sample problem ticket. Um, and then and you can see that on my screen, but when you can also create a new problem ticket by going to the filter navigator on the left hand side and type problem and select create new. When you click on create new, you will get a similar form that you see on the right hand side. I've already filled that out, so looking at this, you can create a sample problem ticket. And if you scroll down, I have two tabs here for incidents and problem tasks, and I have associated two incidents to this problem, and I have created two tasks for this problem ticket. So, and having said that, let me also show you how ServiceNow works in terms of um, downloading information uh, via URLs. So here are some sample URLs, and you can also find in my code that I'm going to demonstrate shortly. So I have created three sample URLs for the problem information download, for the incident information download, and the task information download. And at the end, this is how the report will look like. So at the top section up to here, you will see all the problem information. In this section, you will see the incident information, and in this section, you will see the tasks information from the problem ticket. And since this is Word, these are plain tables that I've inserted, and you can um, simply use the insert table command from here and insert the required number of rows or columns based off the template that you can see on my screen. And this template and the code, VBA code, is available on my GitHub account. And while I'm going through the code, I'll also explain where you can download this and then play around with that particular code. So I was explaining the URL part. Let me go back to it. So here, as you can see, if you want to download the problem information, this is how the URL should be constructed. So the first piece is the instance name, then problem.do, which is the problem table. Then you have to specify the format in which you need to download, which is Excel, and then you need to provide the query, where I'm saying the query is number equals to this problem number. And at the end, sys parameter default export fields equals all means download all the fields from that table. Similarly, to download the related incident and task information, you need to provide the sys ID of this sample problem ticket or whichever problem ticket you create in your developer instance. And you can change that in the code, and I'll show you when I run through the code. So as you can see here, I have copied and pasted the sys ID, which you can get from here. I'll show you in a minute. So in the problem ticket, when you right click here in this menu, uh, you can go to copy sys ID, and when you click on it, the sys ID gets copied to the clipboard. You can come back here paste it, and you can construct the similar URLs for incident and problem. All you have to do is, instead of sys parameter query number, you should say sysparam query equals problem ID, and then give the sys ID similar to this. So these are the simple URLs. The intention of showing this to you is, you know, to provide a working knowledge on how the downloads work, and you will see similar URLs being constructed in my code and the download being happening in the background. So this is for your awareness, and let me show you again how this URL works within ServiceNow. So if I go back to the ServiceNow instance and type the and paste the URL in the address bar, this is how it looks. And then if you press enter, you will get a prompt. I'm going to say save, and it will get downloaded to your default downloads folder. When I go there, here is the file. When I double click on it, it will open it, and this is how it will look. So it has all the fields, and it will also have that PRV number. So let me show that to you. So this is the number, and this is the field I'm using to download the information. Um, Similarly, you can use these URLs to download the information from incident and problem tasks table. By the way, this is the VBA code. I've used it for Internet Explorer. Um, and then make sure you are logged on to the ServiceNow instance, because the VBA code assumes that the instance is already authenticated, and it uses that authenticated IE object. It passes on to a function, and then downloads and passes on the URL that I just showed you, and then downloads the information to the downloads folder. Then the macro reads the information from the downloads folder and then populates information in this particular template. So let me now go to the VBA code. So the way I have structured the VBA code is into three separate modules. One is the download module, which explains, which has the functions to download the information when the URL is provided, when the IE object is provided to this function, and it downloads the information to the downloads folder. And I have taken this piece of code from Stack Overflow, and here is the URL, direct URL, and you can find this in my code. So this is not my code, just a disclaimer, and I've simply used it from this particular URL. So thanks to whoever has created this particular piece of code, it was very helpful. I'm simply using it in my code for this demonstration purposes, and I'm not taking any credits for this particular piece of code. So having said that, so that's the module for downloading Excel files. Then there is a main module where the actual code works to pass on the problem information to create um, to refer to the ServiceNow object, and then it has logic to basically pull the information from the downloaded Excel files and then create the report. Then there are certain um, utilities um, which help during the entire piece of code. So so basically what I'm doing is, if you see here, delete files, it will delete um, the three Excel files before running the macro, so that there's no interference. Then there's another function called get download folder path. This is because for some of the users, the download folder path can be different, and it can be changed from IE. So this reads the most current download folder path so that the files can be downloaded to an appropriate folder. And then I've created another function here which says read Excel rows, and then it helps in reading the information from Excel files. Now let me go back to the main module. The main module has a main function, then it has got some variables defined at the start. So actually, if I go through this one by one, the line by line in the debug mode, it will be easier for you to understand. So let me do this. So let me run this. As you can see, it's going to the through the various functions, deleting files. It determined the download folder path. For me, it's users Adnan downloads. Then it will ask for the PRB number. Then I'm going to I'm already provided the sample PRB number that I have created, and this piece of code can be changed where a button can be provided here on the right hand side top corner, and when you click on it, a box will appear and then you can provide the information. But since this is a demo, I'm directly running the main function from the module. Then that's how you get to this point. So I click OK, and then here it's setting up the default ServiceNow instance. This is my instance, so you need to change it when you create your free instance, or if you already have a free instance from ServiceNow, you need to simply change this URL here. Then and I've given a variable which defines if it's a test mode or not. Test mode, when test run equals to true, then in that case the macro assumes that the information is already present in the downloads folder in form of Excel files, and then it simply uses those Excel files. So it saves some time when you're trying to do debugging. So in that case, you can set the test run equals to true. But this, since this is a demo, I want to show you how the files are getting downloaded in the background. So I'm keeping it as false. So now if you see here, it's creating a new service. It's creating a new Internet Explorer instance, setting it to false so that everything is in the background. Then it navigates to this instance, to the home page. So the instance, and then I've given some default parameters, the way it appears in the default instance when you open it. And there's a loop where the IE instance becomes ready, so I need to wait. Then there is this main code that starts downloading the information. So it's constructing a URL the way I showed it to you. Then I'm giving some debug.print statement so that you can see the URLs getting printed here, and then then it starts downloading the information. So here you can see it came to the module download, and then it's now going to download the information. So the idea here is it's using the Microsoft XML HTTP protocol to download the information, and as you can see here, it's creating a JavaScript within the IE object, and then it's creating a div tag for each time this function is being called. So there is a div count um, global variable that you can see every time I increment it, so that there is a separate div tag created. And you know that is necessary because when you increment the div tag, um, the information that you download for each of the URL, it gets separated, and then you can use the same IE object, and the information for each of the URL that is passed is downloaded separately, and it doesn't and those and that information doesn't interfere um, with each other. So if you do not increment the div tag and you do not have the separate div tag for each downloaded Excel file, then all the Excel files will turn out the same. Meaning, if you download the problem information first, and if you not increment the div tag, and if you download the incident Excel, uh, then without incrementing the div tag, you will still end up with the problem.xls. So you can explore that while when you're debugging the code, and I'll give you the location of the GitHub so that you can download that file from there. Um, so here it's running again, and then comes back, reads the information. and then it gets the binary array of the Excel file, and then it's now writing it to a binary array and comes back. It reads that array and then writes it to the destination path, which is again the downloads folder and problem.xls. So it's going to write it, but before that, let me show you the downloads folder is empty. Then going back to the macro here, this is the main piece where it writes the information to the downloads folder. So once it and okay, now let me show you this problem.xls here. This is how it looks. So the information is downloaded. Let me search for PRB number, and then here you see the number. It's the same number that I used for download. Closing this, and then I'm reading this information in an array again through the one of the functions here. So now I'm calculating how many rows are there. So there's only one row which is usable, and then I'm reading the sysID here from the array, and then I'm constructing an incident URL here, and then I'm printing it so that you can see it's similar to the one that I showed you. Okay. Similarly, it keeps on doing this. It downloads the files. So let me skip this part and go to the report population part. Okay, here, as you can see now, this template is empty. And then these references in the macro, all it will do is refer to a particular table, a particular cell, and then write the information from this array. So let me show you here. So active document dot tables 2, meaning select table number 2, cell 1 and 2, meaning select um, cell number cell with row number 1 and column 2, and then type this text which refers to this particular piece of this particular cell. And then when I press F8 again, you can see the information is put into the cell. Similarly, let me skip this part up to the part where it's trying to put the incident information, which is here. So I pressed F5, so skip that part and then came here. Let me show you this. So this top part of the problem is filled up. Now comes the incident population part. So here it selects the table 6, which is this. Then it goes to how many rows it needs to loop for, which I determined here when I downloaded the information from the incident Excel file, and then it will loop so many times. Then it will select that, then it will insert one row, which is here, so that it can put the information, and then it will loop through it. Here, one row is populated, going back, looping again, insert one more row, yeah, looping again, putting down the information here. Okay, similarly, it will do it for the tasks, and then it will close down the IE sessions, and then it will save the file. So let me show you how this file is saved. It will be saved in your downloads folder with the problem number as a file name with a .docs extension, because this current file is with an extension of DOCM, which means it's a macro enabled file. So let me skip through that part, and it's now about to save the file. Let me show you how the task information looks. So in the ServiceNow instance, as you can see here, these are all the default columns, and you can configure it from the settings gear icon here, and then you can have more columns here, but I just left it with the default columns. And even and as you can see in the macro, I'm not showing all the columns in this template, so I'm only showing certain number of columns here. And let me go back to the code. Basically, you need to, so as when you read the information in this array here, For example, PRB array for problem, incident array for incident, and task array for tasks. So this is basically a two-dimensional array where it reads all the information from the Excel files. And uh, when you open the Excel file, you will see which field you need to pull the information from. And you can refer to the same field and the cell location in this array using this particular notation. So simply row and column. So here, as you can see, let me show you a better example. So PRB array. So row number 2 and column number 45 in the Excel would be the short description field in the Excel file, right? So similarly, you can determine which particular location in the Excel file and then translate it to the row and column of the array. That's a key piece of information that I forgot to mention, so just bear that in mind. Okay, so the information is now downloaded. All you need to do is now save it. So with this statement, you will be able to save the information. And when I run it, you will see in the downloads folder there will be one more file that will be getting saved. So let me do that. It's all done. Go back to the downloads folder. Here's the file. So again, you can see the name of the file changed here from .docm to .docs, so that you come out of the macro and then you save the file and done with it. So and let me also show you how the information. So this information is can be downloaded also from ServiceNow, but the uh, it is not very usable in terms of visual appeal, or it's not in a condensed format, and it's not ready for consumption for senior management. So the same information that I put down in one page and even less than one page, when you download it in a PDF format in a landscape, for example, let me open this. This is how it appears. It appears all scattered and it appears in two pages. So the idea is twofold. One is to condense the information for consumption by senior management, and also at the same time have a visual appeal to it. And since this is Word, you can play around with colors, with these headings, pretty much the format of this heading, the fonts, put in some colors. You can also put your company logo here. You can play with the font sizes and different font types so that the report looks more visually appealing. But again, the whole idea of this was to demonstrate the ability to download information from ServiceNow and create reports in Word. And the same logic can be applied to download information and then create reports in PowerPoint as well, and even Excel. So in my subsequent videos, you will see how the information um, can be um, captured into Excel as well as PowerPoint. And one more piece of information you need to be aware is that these tables, um, in the tables section, so let me go back to here in ServiceNow instance. Let me go back to tables. There is one setting that needs to be enabled for you to be able to download information. So here in the system definition, there are tables. When I click on it, I'm going to look for problem table here. When I click on it, there is a tab called application access, and here when you click on it, there is a field or a checkbox called allow access to this table via web services. So this should be checked. If this is not checked, you will not be able to download the information from this table into an Excel file. So make sure you check this for problem table, incident table, as well as problem task table. So that was it, friends. If you need Any additional information, feel free to leave a comment on this video. And I've also put down my email address, which is adnan.muhammad@gmail.com, and you can email me on this with your questions and I'll try to answer those questions. And let me also show you my GitHub account, which is this, github.com, Adnan GitHub/SnowVBA. And when you go here, you can download the snow.docm file, and you can play around with it by changing your developer instance and any customizations. So that was it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it will be useful for you. Um, and like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to comment on this video. That was it. Thank you.